Welcome to part 13 of Celebrian, Not for Children. Last we left off, she had quite made a mess, and yeah. So let's continue. She managed to toss the soiled sheets into a laundry pot without being noticed. Back in her room, she contemplated her position. Her husband despised her. Her breasts were the marvel of all Middle-earth, and despite the shame, the hot taste of jizz in her mouth had her aroused. If it weren't for the difficulty of cleaning the mess, she would suck the cock dry again this instant. But it did make a mess, and what was she supposed to do when it demanded attention again, which surely it would at some point? At that point, she heard a knock at her door. "Who is it?" she asked. "My lady, it is Manette from the Traveller from the South." Her heart raced. She did not know how he could have evaded the guards posted in this part of Rivendell, and though he must surely be the architect of this current fix she was in, she had no choice but to talk to him. Her position was untenable? That's an odd word. Maybe unattainable? I don't know what they mean. "Come in," she said. Manette walked into the room. Close up, the orcish cast was unmistakable. He wasn't half orc, but the orc blood was at least quarter true. His nostrils were flared and upturned in the hint of the orc pig nose. His ears were hooded and stood from his skull at an angle, though he artfully masked that to some extent with his hair. But the most telling feature were his eyes. His yellow eyes had the same look of contempt and lust that the Orc King had. He snorted as he sniffed the air. "I can't see your friend, but I can smell his handiwork," he said. "But with luck, the less sensitive noses of your fellow elves may miss it." "What do you want, Manette?" "I had wanted to torment you, of course, but I am in a bind now. Your husband and his guard are after me for nothing more than a few jewels. I need a way out, one of the secret ways from Rivendell. You will show me." "I can't," she said. "They have been kept secret since the beginning. I'll show you another way." "No, there is no other way. You will show me, or when your husband finds me in your room, my cock will be out, and so will the magic one you've hidden somewhere around here." "No, please." "Please nothing. You will do it," he said with a leer. "Actually, you will please me, and then you will show me the way out. Make it quick, bitch. There isn't much time." He pulled the member from his pants. It was still partly limp, but Celebrian could see that the orc bloodline ran truest in his cock. It had the same shiny bulb and warty shaft. The difference from it and the Orc King's, as she watched in surprise and growing pleasure, was that it dwarfed both the King's and the magic cock by its 2-foot length. The bulb was 4 inches across, sitting on a 3-inch shaft. It was immense, I'll say. I don't even think that's possible. And she had to accept it into her mouth. Seriously, guys, get a ruler and look at 4 inches. I mean, that's crazy. That's just not right. That's mutant. She took the head of the cock in both hands and pressed her lips to it. Could she take it in her mouth? It seemed too big. With both hands on the shaft to control its entry, she forced it into her. Her jaws screamed with pain and her lips nearly split. But in the bulb popped. That doesn't seem quite like the right wording. Once in, she forced it down her throat slowly, feeling her way and fearful of injury. She felt it stretch and fill her like nothing before. With confidence, she began to work up and down the shaft. She kept the bulb in her mouth, uncertain that she could take it easily again if it slipped out. With one hand gripping the magnificent, rock-hard shaft, she slid the other to his balls. They were weighty, but not nearly as big as the Orc King's. Good, she thought. I can swallow his seed entirely. There should be no mess to clean. Celebrian worked for maximum speed, working the head with her tongue, lips in the back of her throat. Soon she sensed the oncoming orgasm. She pulled the bulb nearly out of her mouth and sucked hard and noisily, stroking the gland's edge with her both hands. With a groan, Manet came. Celebrian skillfully caught his entire load in her mouth. It was big, 2 mouthfuls, but she managed to swallow between spurts. No mess this time. Well, that's nice. Isn't that good? She stood up. That was well done, Celebrian. You are a most accomplished cum-drinker. Now show me the passage. I will, but you must take the magic cock with you. Very well, hand it over. She fished it from the drawer. It shrank back to a small stick in his hand. Are you sure you don't want it? I can show you how to command it, he said, dangling it in front of her. She was more tempted than she should have been, but she shook her head. She felt her heavy bosom sway from side to side with shake. Her nipples were still erect beneath the gown. Then let's go, he said. Celebrian took Manet to a secret passage that ran from Elrond's chamber beneath a hill to a hidden exit. It was a passage that none but elves had walked since the founding of Rivendell. Now, Celebrian showed it to an orc bastard that she had just serviced moments before. That evening, she begged off from the nightly gathering in the main hall and took her dinner in her room. She had to. Her body still tingled with the dual blow-job she had given. If she didn't come herself, then she feared her nipples might burst through her gown and send the scent of her steaming pussy fill the room. She came to climax 5 times with various combinations of pairs of nipples and clit in each hand. When she had finished, she sent for ice cream, lots of it. In the days that came, she abandoned the regimen of moderate ice cream that had kept her breast growth to something manageable and indulged herself. What did it matter, she thought. Sooner or later Manet would return with his magic cock and continue whatever blackmail had been interrupted by his flight. She was doomed. She might as well enjoy herself. Her breasts resumed their rapid growth. By summer, when the orcs stormed up the secret passage and attacked Elrond in his chamber, they were approaching watermelon size. That morning before the attack, Celebrian gazed at her naked breasts in the mirror. Her hands stroked their great length. She cupped them and hefted their mass. She felt her fat nipples in the palm of her hand beneath the weight of her boobs. They felt like hot worms. What? Her nipples began to flex and grow as the warmth grew in her belly. They slipped from between her fingers and swelled to their full mass. Though not as firm as a man's cock, they still had rubbery rigidity. They also had the size and breadth of a cock, at least a larger elvish one. Her nipples were now an inch across and 7 inches long. What? I'm gonna stop there because what?